Hello, I'm updating the stream description. Sorry for not saying anything yet. I vape. That sounds about right. Let me like this in reswitched. And now is the part where I wait for people to filter in. There was a system update tonight. It is approximately nothing interesting, but we will diff it, partly because I have done it in the past and would like to continue doing it. Hey John Jaded, and partly because I think it's really funny to diff system updates that do literally nothing. Nice to see you too. I will be shitposting a lot tonight, and so I apologize for that in advance. The only thing that I really have to say is I vape. So yes, let's tell people to continue to filter in. Hello, Corvidel, Zeki Cat Games, A-dubs. My plan tonight is to spend like 10 to 20 minutes diffing, quote unquote, 10.0.3, the new system update that just released for the Nintendo Switch. It's very exciting. If you have ever wanted your certificate stores to be updated, boy, is this the update for you. And then I will push the Atmosphere support update to GitHub for 10.0.3. And then I will casually work on Exosphere 2 for a bit. I vape. Hello, Ave. That's amazing. I vape. Okay, so let's get started. Let's see what there is to see about 10.0.3. I'm sure that Switch Brew will have lots to say about it already. So let's see. I'm very excited to see what must have changed in the new update. Well, it looks like someone updated this earlier. I see. There were no security flaws fixed. Interesting. I vape. But it does look like this added one new certificate authority for the User Trust Network. User Trust RSA Certification Authority. Jersey City, New Jersey. Yeah, this certificate authority was supposed to expire in 4 days, so they updated it, which is incredible. I love the idea of Nintendo pushing out a system update because some partner they're not affiliated with did not update their CA until like 4 days before it expired. That's super funny. Hello, Y2K. I vape. Okay, so let's start by downloading the system update. The most important thing to do when looking at any system update is to download it. So let's go to our system updates folder and let's download it. Incredibly, the certificate that I use for this has still not been banned, despite the fact that my script is downloading it with Akamai reference numbers visible on stream. Or it did it first. So thank you, Nintendo. I appreciate it. This update does literally nothing of interest, but that's why it's so important to diff it. It's a rare opportunity to ensure that we take care of this completely. The microphone audio might be a little low. My audio is a little low in general. Sorry, I meant to increase my volume, and I think I muted myself. Sorry about that. But I also just increased the volume of my microphone in OBS, so hopefully that improves things, Halverson. Also, hopefully I wasn't muted for very long. I mean, that would be very funny if the dozen times I said I vape while this was downloading did not go captured. Not really a dozen, it was more like 3. But these things happen. Okay, new update. What did it update? Let's check in updates. Oh, I wasn't connected to the chat room either. Truly, this stream is going off with no technical hitches. I see. It updated the cert store. I will speculate from this that it may have updated the stored certs. So let's go in here. This is actually really deeply uninteresting. Like, I really want to manage to shitpost about this for like more than like a minute or two. But the only thing that they did is that this incremented from 26 certificates to 27. And they added a new fingerprint, and this like user trust cert at the bottom here is new. This was about to expire, and they updated it. It's really uninteresting. But that said, let's update Atmosphere to support it. Very important to do. So let's get a new window here. Great. I love when I am deeply out of date. That happens a lot. Great. Okay. Libraries, libvapors include vapors, atmosphere, API version. Oh boy, we support 10.0.3 now. That's exciting. Did I not really updated it since then? Great. 10.0.3. Think of all the new support we're getting here. This is peak updating. Truly incredible work is being done. Fuse is a secondary source. NX boot, I think. Specific. I don't know why I sign myself up to do this every time there's a new update. It's probably because I hate myself and want to make a bunch more work for myself every time Nintendo makes an update. But that's fine. We're doing the thing. Documents. System updates. 809. NCAs. You probably thought that I was joking when I said that I would add support for 10.0.3 to Atmosphere, but let me assure you, I was very serious. Great. Hey, for X81. The first part of the stream, which you missed, has been literally nothing but shitposting, so don't worry about it. This is the part where I say I vape, which is obligatory. Cool. So now that that's taken care of, 10.0.3 is really deeply uninteresting. Actually, I should check if, yeah, that's the update for 10.0.3. Has anyone updated? Cool, that updated that. System version title I should do. No one else ever edits this, which is annoying, but that's fine. Cool, 10.0.3 will be a new entry. 10.0.3. Yeah, and in fact, Atmosphere would have booted into it, would have booted 10.0.3 previously. Like, I think the current Atmosphere release boots it fine. It just thinks that it's on 10.0.0, which it doesn't change anything important, so it doesn't actually matter. This is mostly a really extended shitpost. Yeah, very, very cushy. Cool. We copy paste this. Then we copy paste this. When like real updates happen, I will also stream those, and they will be less me making jokes. But I'm doing this mostly because it's very funny for me to do this on stream when it is so utterly minor. I will also stream actual work as soon as I'm done with this. Okay, cool. That is updated. And I think Navbox versions is updated. So that's good. That didn't used to get automatically updated. If I go here. Hey, Turtle. Cool. That is all done automatically. Excellent. So we are... I'm going to want the Tigger X1 PDF if I'm going to be working on this. We're good to go. Back to actual development. Great. I still don't think my voice sounds that nice, but I'm glad that you do. Ugh, cdc/dev. Okay. Thanks, Fredkinen. Truly, I appreciate it. Okay, so, shitposting and saying I vape aside, I have like 2 or 3 hours to kill. And I figure that this update is as good as an excuse for me to do some more Exosphere 2 work, which I've kind of been putting off this week while I looked at Gateway's mod chip payload. And now that that's done, it's time to get back to writing code. So that is what we're going to be doing. And when I left off, I know, Zacky Cat, I didn't spend 20 minutes sniffing 10.0.3. In my defense, certificate store updates have nothing to diff, and also I vape. That is my defense. But yeah, so Exosphere 2 is actually getting really far right now. For those who haven't been up to date, the first bit of code that I ever wrote for Atmosphere, let me go to the Atmosphere modules thing. I think I have it in docs roadmap, maybe? I will not talk about it yet. I have several things to comment on, but I am waiting to comment on it for reasons. And those reasons will make sense when they are understood, and I apologize for the delay in my commentary. It's a package 1 glitch, but I won't comment more than that yet. Exosphere is the very first bit of code that I wrote for Atmosphere, and it implements the secure monitor, which is like the very first secure component that runs in the system, other than the bootloader. And it manages like the cryptography for the system, and DRM, etc. And Atmosphere re-implements it, which we use it for a bunch of extensions. It serves as our single source of truth for a bunch of things. And there is very limited space available. There is only 64K of trust zone RAM, and Exosphere 1 uses 8K of that on page tables, and at 02, compiled for speed, it does not fit, and it had about 1 page, so 4K left, as of 10.0.0 releasing, and then 10.0.0 added a global data requirement of an additional 2.5K. So we are now less than 1K from not fitting. And also the code is dog shit and impossible to read, and nobody who is interested in understanding how Horizon works will want to read the original Exosphere code. So I'm rewriting it. I'm re-implementing it in C++ 20, and it has been really good so far. The branch for that is Exo2, creative, because I'm a creative person. And it is actually mostly done. The only things that are left to do are some power management secure monitor calls, and then to do backwards compatibility with previous firmwares. Yes, Exo2 Electric Boogaloo. In fact, the Mesosphere branch was Meso2 Electric Boogaloo for some time, until Finks asked me to change that, because shitposting in your branch names is discouraged. I vape. So, I will be doing some power management work for Exo2 tonight. I've actually freed up a lot of RAM. So I did this actual bit of design effort where I looked at the address space, and it is possible for you to have L2 and L3 share a physical backing page. So I saved 4K from having L2 and L3 be one shared page, where I took a bunch of effort to make sure that the entries that are used by both levels don't overlap. I did some tricks with the volatile memory, because only 56K of memory is actually non-volatile, and the remaining 8K is volatile and doesn't retain its state when the console goes to sleep and wakes back up. And Nintendo uses this just for stacks, but that's kind of wasteful. You don't actually need 8K for stacks. And so 1K of that I managed to use for the like random cache that is used to make sure that getting random bytes is non-blocking for stuff that needs it to not be blocking. So that saves 1K. And then I came up with some really funny tricks where there's a bunch of like cryptographic data, RSA moduli, and public keys that are used on boot to verify that stuff is signed. And for example, Nintendo stores this data in global read-write data, like suckers, and also test RSA. They also, to do testing of RSA moduli, to make sure that the modulus provided is valid for the exponent provided in their API, they do a test exponentiation against the string DDDDD, etc. And this takes up another kilobyte of RAM. And so all said and done, I have probably freed roughly 12 kilobytes of RAM. I moved the RSA keys into the volatile region, and I reuse them for stack, and then overwrite it entirely with the random cache once I'm done. And that's like triple reuse of memory, and it saves me a bunch of stuff. I'm actually kind of proud of that trick because it's hilarious. My implementation of the like testing for moduli is significantly simpler than theirs. Instead of hard coding 1K of Ds, I just memset a buffer to be D. I don't really know why Nintendo does it this way. It seems really space inefficient to me, particularly in something that's so memory constrained. But I'm not a Nintendo engineer, so we'll do it better. And to test if it's valid, I just do this memory comparison. Yeah, no, it's some real strategizing going on here. I have no idea what they're thinking. But yeah, I will start by showing you guys my development process for XO2, because this is actually how I do things. So before I started the stream, I tried to copy the stuff that I need to test. I vape, Lucy Love Bish. I tried to copy the stuff that I need from my like testing branch to the like SD card that's plugged into my switch. This is actually plugged into my switch, which is fun. And it crashed my VM, so instead we will try to be indirect, and we will instead copy this over, which is a build that I built like last week. It doesn't matter, since I'm testing the secure monitor, and we only build the secure monitor anyway. Out XO2. I'm going to try not to extract directly, and instead to copy stuff. And then, and I'm sorry that you will not see this, I will take my switch and I will turn it on. And I don't have audio on, so hopefully you can hear me interacting with the menus or something. I will trigger it to get as far as it can. I get it from the vape store, Zacky Cat Games. The vape store. But right now, the way that I've been doing development for XO2 is in the like secure monitor call handler file. I have this like debug code where if I have not implemented a handler call, it will write a magic number and then write the function that I need to implement and then give me some information about what it was called with. So just to show you that this is how I work, I will verify that what I need to do next is the power management call that I think, and that I will do the power management code. I have no idea if this will be interesting at all, but it'll be fun. If I mess something up really badly in XO2, will my switch vape too? It definitely could, and I support my switch's right to vape if it chooses. That is its prerogative. It's cold metallic body, its choice. But I don't expect my switch to vape. I did accidentally ruin my sysnand last week because I got the code for computing CMAX wrong, which meant that saves did not validate, and the file system module deleted my entire system saves. And that was a real pain in the ass to deal with. But that's solved now. We're much better now. And hopefully I will not make mistakes like that again. Okay, so that's copied over. Oh wait, still need to do one thing. Atmosphere, config, bct.ini, and then I need to do stage 2. Exosphere is atmosphere, exosphere.bin. Cool. So now instead of using the like embedded one in the update, it will use the one that we provide. And then I will also go in here and make J16 and copy So I rename folders as needed. This SD card has Nintendo folders and Atmosphere consoles, or Atmosphere folders for several consoles, and I just rename stuff as I need it. It is it's very low tech, but it works, so it's what I do. Real bugs delete the entire OS. Yeah, I forget that you had issues with that, like with NCM. Was it just the 120 save game that got deleted, or was it also the NCAs themselves? I think it was the NCAs themselves, if I remember right, because you were detecting them as orphan content. Cool. Let's... Hi, GG Link. Cool, I'm booting my Switch now. Hopefully it all just works. I mean, it should. Exo2 is booting the OS and getting far enough that I can like play Animal Crossing in it. So it is mostly working. It's really just the power management that's left. Hello, Byte404. Yes, real bugs do make your console vape. I agree. Speaking of, I vape. God, what a meme. Yes, I have every system version on my SD card for the express purpose of conveniently upgrading and downgrading my Switch. That is why those are there. Okay, let's turn off the Switch. And now, yes, okay, let's boot into my special payload. Where I will post a picture of this in the chat because it is truly dumb. Give me a moment to actually take a picture of this, because this is actually how I debug, and it is phenomenally stupid. I have been doing this since 2018, and I want to share this because it is so stupid. Let me go to Imgur on the host. New post. Yeah, so the first thing that I do, is I use this special payload that I have as payload.bin. And now let me actually take a picture of what the payload does on my Switch. And then upload that to Imgur too. Sorry that you can't see this. I'm sure that it is phenomenally boring to hear me say things and then not be able to see anything. But we will be writing code within a few short minutes, and hopefully that will be more interesting. Also, I'm happy to say things like I vape or whatever else you would like to hear. Imgur.com/a/pa0rycn. Cool. Okay. Yeah, that works. Copy image address. Yeah, so I run a special version of Hecate, which is Hecate 0 point something, where in 2018 I modified it to dump the first 0x5000 bytes of IRAM from address 4003800 to 4003 8 plus 5 000, and then I reboot my console into RCM mode once I've hit that button and navigated into the menu to do it by hand, because it doesn't do it automatically. That would have been too smart of me in 2018. And also, I don't have the source code to this anymore. I lost the source code to this a long time ago. Oh yeah, I have 2 partitions on my SD card, and it like complains about this every time, so I apologize for all those notifications that we will see as I work on this. Yeah, okay, that's fine that it's not accessible. I don't need to format it. And then I go to the magical file iramd.bin, and I open this up, and there it is. There's my dump of IRAM. Yep, very meaningful. But yeah, this tells me that it is invoking, this should be SmcPowerOff, I believe. Unless it's like an Atmosphere SMC, but I don't think it is. 30401 is SMC suspend CPU. Oh no, it is Set config, actually. Okay, that makes sense. If it is trying to set stuff to do power off. Oh, actually, huh. I totally forget that when I power off via the power menu, that will trigger Atmosphere's BPC man in the middle to do set config to like do the special shutdown, since shutdown doesn't work normally. That is 0x5000 of CCs. Yeah, no, the first time that my debug log thing goes, it overwrites it with CC, which I use as a magic value all the time. Okay. So this is confirming that it's doing the thing that I want. It's not doing anything that it should be doing, but that's because I hit power off instead of suspend. That's fine. I'm more interested in writing suspend than power off, so that is what we are going to do. Let me open up the code for that. How come sept is closed source or something? Sept is not closed source. You are welcome to look at sept's code. It is in Atmosphere, sept secondary, source. It is all open source. The key derivation payload that it runs is, in fact, open source. You are totally welcome to look at sept source. There is some GPL2 stuff going on, where sept is loaded by Nintendo's TSEC firmware, which verifies that it is signed by a Nintendo key. And right now, if you want to use your own sept, you have to use a build that I provide, because I have not published the signing keys for sept, which was originally an anti-gateway measure and now serves basically no point, except that I don't want Nintendo to get mad at me. We need keys.py to verify its authenticity. Not on stream. Not on stream. So the closed source stuff probably comes from, even though it is open source, not being able to build it yourself and run it on your console. But I have in the past built and signed special versions of sept for people who have asked me to. So, I think it's for the best if you open that keys.py file. Where there, guys? I vape. Okay, so let's get started on working on power management stuff. This is all skeletons. I go here to power management. We can see that the stuff that we need to implement is power off CPU and suspend CPU. So let's get to it. We will do power off CPU first because it is simpler. And I think it is synchronous. We'll check that. Right, I forget that my names are weird here. Cool. It is not synchronous, which means that we don't actually need to worry about implementing it in a synchronous way. Can you build a special set for me that gives me the contents of keys.py? I'm sorry, ZakiCat. I don't provide copyrighted content in Atmosphere builds. I'm sorry for your loss. Rigbert asks, how do you get started with this type of development? I will answer this. I've answered this in the past, but I enjoy answering this question, and so I will do it again. As of 2014, I knew absolutely nothing about programming whatsoever. And then I saw an article published on Smogon, I think. Let me search and see if I can still find this. Smogon, Wireshark, Pokemon dumped, probably. PKX, yes. Is this still visible? There was some post about how Pokemon had been dumped via Wireshark. And I was very interested in this. And so I joined the Project Pokemon IRC in February of 2016. And Cafedix, or Kurt, took me kind of under his wing, and we learned to program together, trying to break the 3DS save files for Pokemon X and Y. And I found a bug just staring at data in a hex editor in Daytel's power saves for Pokemon X and Y that allowed you to use their tool to re-sign arbitrary edited save files. In particular, if you deleted your save and then used power saves to apply a cheat to it, they would sign for you a save that they crafted that was made entirely of 0 bytes. And AES CTR is symmetric and just a XOR pad. So from that, you could get the XOR pad to decrypt your saves. And if you have the complete XOR pad, you could manually reconstruct all of the hash verification tables, which were documented on the wiki. And then you couldn't sign stuff because you didn't have the signing key, but their tool only checked the hash tables and not the signing data. And so it would re-sign stuff for you. And Kurt and I used this to inject Pokemon into X and Y for the first time and like figure out how Hoopa and Volcanion worked. And that was so much fun that I've stuck around. And I transitioned from data mining and making Pokemon tools. You can look at my GitHub to see all of my early dogshit code where I learned to program in C# making Pokemon data mining tools. I moved on to looking at how the 3DS worked, and I kind of fell in love with the 3DS operating system, and I became obsessed, completely obsessed, like unhealthily obsessed. I have a notebook that I filled with the word boot9 written in it over and over again, like an insane person, with dumping the 3DS boot ROMs. And I learned assembly to try to figure out how to do that. And I learned exploitation, reverse engineering the 3DS operating system because I wanted a copy of the 3DS boot ROMs. And then I eventually did boot9strap, which was a 3DS boot ROM exploit. I also learned exploitation by trying to hack the Wii U, and that was fun. The Wii U is terrible. And I don't know, I found that I really, really enjoyed this stuff, and I love spending time on it, and I like understanding how stuff works. And so I have spent like several hours a day working on this, reverse engineering Nintendo's operating system, trying to understand how it works, and re-implementing it for Atmosphere, since I love it so much, every day since like 2014. And so the skill just comes from throwing myself at the problems over and over for years and years. And it turns out that when you throw yourself at problems for several hours a day for 6 years, you start out not being able to do very many things, and you're not very good at first, and then you get better, and then you get better, and eventually you are able to do cool things. And that is how all of this happened. So my advice, if you're looking to get started, would be find something that is hard for you to do, but that you're interested in doing, some kind of small project, and try to do it. And you will probably fail, but you will learn stuff, and then the next thing that you try will be easier. It is very much a question of throwing yourself at problems and not giving up on problems. But yes. Okay. So, back to this. Also, Mojibake asked, that's impressive. How did I catch your eye from the hex? Kurt had made this program, key save, which was this thing where if you made a dump, we would like do partial differences to get your key stream. And I figured out the trick where you could apply a cheat to a empty save to get the full Zorpad. And from there, it was just us working together to try to reconstruct the hash tables. It took us a long time because neither of us really knew how to program at that time. But it was nice to have a friend who was working on this stuff with me. That provided a lot of motivation in the early days because Kurt was at the same skill level that I was, and he and I were working together on all of these things. But yes. Okay, let us implement this, which should be pretty straightforward. So it is not something that has a implementation function, but I think we'll do one anyway because it is, we didn't do one for power on CPU, so let's not do one here. As the first thing that we need to do is get the current core ID so that we know what core we're executing on. Thanks, Caphotix. I have no idea how to pronounce his nickname, actually. But yes, I do that in all of my videos because he's been such a long-time friend. I forget what I called this. I think it's hardware get current core ID, but we're going to check that because I don't actually remember. Atmosphere, libraries, Exosphere, include Exosphere, hardware, ARM64. Yes, hardware get current core ID. Okay. Hardware get current core ID. Hello, SCHMU, or Shmoo, or however I'm supposed to pronounce it. I vape. Mojibake. I use IDA, one, because I purchased IDA, and there's a huge sunk cost fallacy going on. But two, There's a shitpost answer and a non-shitpost answer. The shitpost answer is that IDA is $5,000 better than Ghidra, or Ghidra, as I like to call it. And the real answer... Oh yeah, GR Animated. I am on... Help. I am on IDA 7.5, which released last week, licensed to myself. I am not Jiang Ying. Ghidra is better than IDA for a vast majority of use cases, and it is very hard to justify the cost of IDA. But the one thing that IDA is better at is low-level ARM64 binaries, and coincidentally, the thing that I reverse engineer are low-level ARM64 binaries for embedded devices. And so my use case is like very specifically the one where IDA is better. And IDA has support for, let me go to my kernel database. Documents. Kernel. Yeah, let me go to, I think, what's something that'll use it? It'll definitely be like, wait list, maybe sleep thread. Now wake up thread. Okay, there it is. Yeah, Ilfak is a total dick. So here's what the scheduler function looks like in IDA. It is all horrible intrusive list output, where like IDA just doesn't, or the decompiler really struggles with this kind of thing. Actually, convar is probably a better one. Insert input will be better. Yeah, so the kernel uses intrusive lists all over the place, where like this is a kthread convar red black tree node. Where like this red black tree points to the red black tree node inside of the kernel thread object, and this shifted pointer, which lets you specify that it is a pointer offset by some amount, turns garbage IDA outputs into like this adjust macro that makes everything actually followable and understandable. And Ghidra can't do that, and Ghidra produces significantly worse output for the Nintendo Switch kernel and for the Nintendo Switch Secure Monitor. So I use IDA because for my very specific use case, it is better, and I am someone who can afford to purchase IDA, even though it is a complete waste of money. And Ilfak is an enormous douche who I don't really want to support. Yeah, no, let me demonstrate. This is a red black tree node. If I change it from this type to just a normal node, let me do this too, which I can undo later. The output is wrong. This is, you can kind of follow it, but it's not really setting the colors here like that. It is saying that it is modifying members, but those members are not the members actually being modified. It is a problem. Oh, also, I guess these needs to be adjusted if I'm really demonstrating this. Let me adjust this to make a point. Yes, yes. Oh, no, wait. Is this... Yeah, okay. That should be fine. Yeah, there we go. It is not actually describing what it is writing to. Like, it looks like it's writing to write and parent, but it's not. And the output being wrong is really, really hard to work with. This is not actually a great example of it, but it is bad. It is really bad to try to work with that. Yeah. I use IDA because for my use case it is better. If you are anyone other than me, you should use Ghidra. It is a better choice, and in 3 years, the decompiler will be better than IDA's. We are in a brief period of time now where IDA has a lead time advantage and is better. If you are not doing low-level ARM64, use Ghidra. If you are not me, use Ghidra. Dually says, when you say low-level, would you consider something like Switch games to be higher level and better to use Ghidra? Yeah, I have never used Ghidra on Switch games, but I would expect that it is probably better. I use IDA for everything because I know IDA and have a lot of muscle memory surrounding it. But Ghidra is probably the better choice for someone who isn't me going into those. Byte44 asks, why do you use Light Theme? I prefer Light Theme for this. I use Dark Theme on a lot of stuff, for Discord, for Twitter, for my Switch. But I really am put off by the colors in dark theme IDA, so I use light theme IDA. Yeah. Okay, and then what this is doing, I called this set current core saved here, but this is actually like set core reset expected. So let's see what I called that, because it's been a week and I no longer remember what I call anything. Source CPU context. Okay, set reset expected. This will set it for the current core. Oops, that weird. Expected resets. Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of quirks, Byte44. I mean, I program in Notepad++ instead of using a real IDE, which I think people also find odd. But I am... I probably haven't the GG link, but that's fine. What I will do is I will close this, and I will not save it. And there we go. Now I'm sure it's fine. But I am more productive in Notepad++, and I am more productive using the things that I use because I have so many habits built around them. Yeah, older IDA sucked at a lot of things. But newer IDA, specifically for ARM64 and for the low-level stuff that I do, is better, so I use it. I mean, it is a phenomenal waste of money. It is not worth what I pay for it, but I can afford it. So even though it's not really worth it, I spend 4 hours a day-ish, 3 to 4 hours a day using IDA every day of my life, and it is worth it in my very weird use case as someone who spends like 1,000+ hours a year to pay for IDA. Cool. Why do you develop Atmosphere? It is my hobby. It is just a hobby. And I do it because I really, really love Nintendo's operating system. They ditch like 30 or 40 years of backwards compatibility and have this totally novel microkernel design. It is genuinely secure. It is a general purpose operating system with a totally novel, fantastic design that I love so much. And I want people to understand how it works. I think that Nintendo is doing revolutionary things in the operating system space that nobody else is doing, nobody else is experimenting with. You look at other consoles, Microsoft is using Windows, Sony is using FreeBSD. Nintendo is innovating, and I want people to understand their innovations because they're cool. And I love Nintendo. Yeah, Nintendo is fascinating on the technical side. Y2K. IDA Home is worthless and a huge waste of money, and nobody should pay for IDA Home. There are 0 people for whom purchasing IDA Home is worthwhile, as someone who purchases IDA Pro. IDA Home is the shittiest trade deal in the history of trade deals, and no one should pay for it. It is awful. And it being offered is a joke. It is Ilfec being a self-entitled douchebag. No, it doesn't have any decompilers. IDA Home is pay $365 for one disassembler. A single disassembler. And you can't add more. It is worthless. It is a joke. And yeah, Ilfec is a joke. But whatever. Ilfec is Ilfec. I don't have control over Ilfec. Okay, so this is doing power down the current core, and if we're not core 3, then we call the function with our stack pivoted. So let's go ahead and do this. Here we're going to want to otherwise invoke with if core ID equals num cores -1 power off CPU otherwise pivot stack and invoke power off CPU. Nintendo never takes the easy route when developing an operating system. Doesn't mean it's always the most secure. So, palindromic breadloaf. I hate to pull rank. I hate to I hate to say that I am right here, but I am right. You're wrong. Horizon is a secure operating system. Horizon does not have software vulnerabilities in the secure monitor. It does not have software vulnerabilities in the kernel. You cannot, via software, compromise Horizon OS in a way that is meaningful right now. The latest version of Horizon OS is secure. Period. I have made all of my reverse engineering notes public on the most critical components because I am confident that it is secure. It really, genuinely is secure. Near recent counter says, can you arbitrarily change paid flags or upgrade to RX? I want to port my scriptable arbitrary ABI-less hooking, thread state, yada, yada, yada. Nereis, you cannot. The kernel memory stuff is kind of convoluted, but it is possible to obtain a read-write mapping for any read executable pages that you have. And so you can modify your code pages if you want to do chit or whatever. That is a thing that you can do. I have no idea if they use JetBrains TeamCity. Like, I actually have no idea. On that topic, source code has leaked for the 3DS operating system recently, and I would like to be very clear. As someone who is implementing the Nintendo Switch kernel in C++, I really should not and am not looking at it. It would be deeply problematic for me if I looked at the 3DS OS code and then continued implementing the Switch OS code, because the Switch is a hard rewrite of the 3DS operating system. And so I am being very careful about not looking at it. I hope everyone else is interested in it and having a good time with it, but at least until I'm done with the Switch kernel, it is really important that I not look at it. AW asks, oh, hey, Aurora, it's good to see you. Is it a one-time payment for IDA, or do you need to keep paying to renew it? It was $5,000 to purchase IDA the first time with the ARM64 and ARM and x64 decompilers, and it will cost me half of that to renew it each year. So it is a renewing payment, but it costs half as much later times. Does the main binary have special protection for remaps? So in the normal threat model, stuff is protected. And yes, but in the homebrew case, there's no special protections. If you are running homebrew, you can obtain a read-write mapping for your read executable pages at will. There are no limitations on that. Yeah, no, I am privileged, and I recognize that. To be clear, anyone who is not in my very specific use case and circumstances should be using Gydra. Also, in 3 years, it will just be better. So we don't really patch the kernel very much, but even without kernel patches, if you are running Homebrew and you have access to the service calls that let you do it, you can obtain read-write mappings for your read executable pages. Okay, I don't think I have pivot stack and invoke implemented yet, so we will do that. It's not like this is a very complicated command, but we will do it. Okay, let's go to source. I think this is here. I think this will probably go in start virtual because that's where I'm putting these functions. Yeah, this is where I'm putting these things. And also, let me look at the exception vectors because I don't remember what I called this. Because this is releasing the privileged secure monitor call lock. Acquire common SMC stack locks. Yeah, it releases the common SMC stack lock when it does this. Great. Okay, so let me push this switch out of the way so that I can type without having my hand rest on it. And we will add dot section. Let me copy and paste this for alignment. Okay, that should be fine. I'm thinking. Sorry about that. Dot section _z n 3 ams 6 secmon 19 pivot stack and invoke. Let me double check that I actually got that right, because that is not a guarantee. I did. Great, Evie. Okay. And actually, it doesn't take in nothing. It takes in a stack pointer, and it takes in a function pointer. And it occurs to me, I have no idea how function pointers mangle. That is a really interesting question. Let's look that up. Actually, let's do this the lazy way. Documents, test.c++. Actually, no, I bet Godbolt supports it. IDA is developed by a man named Ilfak. Palindromic bread loaf. Outputs, demangle identifiers. Okay, so it is a pointer to function, returns a void. Okay, sure, that's fine. I can copy paste that. A pointer to void and a pointer to a function that takes it and returns a void. Cool. Okay, that should be right. Okay. Here we want to use the provided stack pointer. Move into the stack pointer x0. Then we want to release our lock some cstack. Move x19 x1 and branch to release common sub cstack lock. Corvidel, I vape. And then invoke the function stack branch x19. Cool, that should do it. And I think actually that this is only used by power management, so we can actually declare it internally. Just to say, declare helper for invoking shutdown routines. This is also used by suspend, I think. Space amos void pivot stack and invoke void stack void. Palindromic breadloaf. They are glitching eMMC reads in package 1. Nintendo can patch it, but we will talk more about that on a later date. Cool, let's check that this compiles, because I just wrote assembly, and I do not trust my ability to write assembly with it compiling on the first try. Invalid conversion from, oh right, I need to actually provide a stack pointer. What stack is this using? I guess it's using the core specific exception stack. And what do I call that? Git core exception stack virtual. Okay. Hopefully this is declared somewhere. I have no idea if it is. GG Link. I will make the following claim. Oh, right. The function pointer syntax. I will claim completely seriously, the Switch secure monitor does not have software vulnerabilities. You cannot hack the Switch secure monitor. I need to declare this too. Void You cannot hack the Switch's secure monitor via software. And I will also claim their kernel does not have invalid use. Oh, right. This returns a void pointer. Their kernel does not have software vulnerabilities. I have published on GitHub, or gist rather, I don't know if I'm signed in. I might be. That's fine. I have published the IDA database file corresponding to my Switch kernel IDA database. Let me reopen my kernel IDA database. I have fully labeled every function. 100% of functions have type information and names, and I've analyzed them. I have audited every single function in this kernel, and their microkernel has no software vulnerabilities. I am confident in this. I am so confident in this that I, as someone who tries to hack these consoles, have made all of my reverse engineering notes public. And I am re-implementing the kernel in C++ using my reverse engineering notes because I am so confident it does not have bugs that I want people to look at the code and be able to verify for themselves how it works and that it doesn't have bugs. Their kernel is secure. Horizon's userland OS still has some bugs in... It still has some bugs, but they are not exploitable in the way that you would want to exploit them. You can't use them to run Atmosphere or anything. Yes, GR Animated. Nintendo introduced a vulnerability in version 8.0.0 and 8.0.1, which they fixed in 8.1.0. Coincidentally, if you would ever like to hack a Mariko unit not using Gateway's chip, have a Mariko unit on those firmwares. Very funny. Details eventually. Very funny. So yes, but it is stupendously rare, and the reason that that happened is that NVIDIA lied to them. Yoshigana says, Micro, what about drivers or auxiliary hardware? Any esoteric hardware with DMA or anything sitting on an important bus? So drivers run in user space. They are not kernel mode. Drivers have access to only the hardware that they need. All of the interesting DMA at this point is locked down. You can't do anything exciting with DMA. The system has an IOMMU. And if I go to trust on database, not kernel database, CPU suspend. The initial hacks were because NVIDIA lied, as most of the bugs tend to be. And NVIDIA said in their technical reference manual, hey, there is this... Let me step backwards, actually. There was a DMA controller in older versions of the Tegra called AHB-DMA, which had access to an interesting bus. And NVIDIA claims in the technical reference manual that it is removed in the Tegra X1. And as usual, NVIDIA lies, and it is still present. And if you write to the region where it used to be, it is still there. And the initial trust zone hack involved getting access to this DMA controller, which Nintendo didn't block because NVIDIA said it didn't exist, and then using it to overwrite stuff as the console was going to sleep because the boot ROM has a bug in the warm boot code path. But they now verify when you go to sleep, this is MMIO reads, that all of the interesting DMA controllers are off. It's probably... That one is probably accidental, but I also know of intentional lies on NVIDIA's part. So, I'm not going to say that NVIDIA is great. NVIDIA absolutely has intentionally lied in the past about their boards in ways that have screwed Nintendo over. I am sure that NVIDIA has had a very bad time dealing with Nintendo as a result. But yeah, nearest encounter. There are no drivers, even if you compromise them, that let you escalate in a way that you would want. And there are no DMA controllers that will give you access to the things that you want access to. The OS is, unironically secure. Yeah. Sadly, Nintendo is a Japanese company, so that is deeply unlikely. Okay, we are compiling now, I think. Are we? Oh, right. This actually... Power off should return void. Or actually, it should do... This code will never reached. I need it to have this signature in order for it to be invocable in the like function list without doing gross stuff. Yeah, NVIDIA's kind of fucked Nintendo over in several ways. Every meaningful exploit for the Switch has not been a software vulnerability in Nintendo's code. It has instead been a vulnerability in NVIDIA's hardware. .text, relocation truncated to fits. Okay. Let's see what it's trying to invoke. Since I probably mangled that wrong, which doesn't horribly surprise me because I've never mangled a function pointer before. Go to build. Let me open this in IDA. New. SecMon, SMC power management is what I want. What is it looking for? Yeah, no, all switch hacks are because NVIDIA is terrible and can't do security. NVIDIA is like dog shit at security. Okay, I probably copied that wrong. Great. Start virtual. What did I do wrong here? Oh, okay. Sure. That's a dumb thing to forget. Hey, StuckPixel. Okay, yeah, now it compiles. Great. So let us continue. Now we want to do the actual power off implementation, which I believe that I called finalize power down in my audio database, but that's not really the right name for it. Power down current core. Yeah, okay. So we want to get the current core again. NVIDIA's other devices are like also deeply fucked. They are also not secure, to be clear. You can hack basically any other NVIDIA device. They're all bad. Yes, Nintendo has come a long way with their console security. The 3DS is not nearly so secure, and it is the same design concept as the Switch. The Switch, they took all of the lessons that they learned with the 3DS and rewrote their entire operating system, and it is secure now. They have really come a long way. If I were Nintendo and had to choose a manufacturer for my console system on a chip, who would I choose? That's really hard to say. So, near-east encounter. How does the IOMMU work? What meaningful power does it have over physical memory? Okay, when you think of DMA, near-east encounter, you probably think that DMA takes in some physical address and does memory access to that physical address. And IOMMUs are memory management units for I/O devices. You specify to the IOMMU interface like an address space identifier for your device, and you can map physical pages in the same way that you would map them in for the CPU. And it is virtual memory for I/O devices. So DMA does not have physical memory access, excepting a stupid NVIDIA issue that isn't relevant to the security because they've mitigated it. DMA doesn't specify physical addresses. It specifies virtual addresses that the OS has mapped in for that specific DMA device. The IOMMU has basically complete power over the over physical memory. Do you own a dev device by chance? I do not. I do not own a dev kit. I only own retail consoles. Also, yes, all user line code is randomized. All code is randomized with ASLR. If you are interested, nearest encounter, go to the memory controllers section of the Tegra. Actually, there's probably some block diagram here. Yeah. Let me see. This memory interface is the memory controller, and it is also the IOMMU. And everything goes through it to decide how it talks to memory. There's a block diagram in the Tegra reference manual. Yes, all of the switches I got on Prime Day are still alive. Set flow CSR 0 for core. Okay, let me see what I called that function, because it'll be in the flow library. Flow. Great. The answer is that I did not set it, which is fantastic. I love when I don't set things. So we're going to implement it. Yeah, no, it is very different from the typical thing that things do. CPU Csr, hot CPU event, CPU4, core control. It is very minor. It yeah, so this CA user trust was going to expire on reject all tracking. Was going to expire on May 30th, and they like only very recently provided a new certificate, and Nintendo updated their certificate store to update for the new certificate that expires in May 2028. That is the only thing that the new update does, is update that certificate. It's very uninteresting. Okay. So we want to add set the CPU CSR, we want to set the halt CPU events, we want to set the CC4 core control. So let's add those. We want void, what is this argument? Is this a core ID? Core ID, yes it is a core ID. Okay. Wait, this is the core ID. What is the other thing? What is the other thing? Great. I might need to look at the Tegra X1 reference manual for this, actually. Because I don't remember what that is. Go to the flow controller. Zoom out a little. Yes, yes. Flow controller. Where will it be? Flow controller registers. CPU and CSR offset. Okay. Okay. Bits 12. Okay, so this is controlling enable ext. So I will add this. Okay. Sure. Void set CPU CSR. And then I will want set halt CPU events. Does that take anything else other than the core? Okay, this is taking in a Boolean. Sure. I think that's bool halts. Let me also check that just to be sure. Where is this? Halt CPU events. That'll be the same thing. So it definitely always sets bit 29. Okay, so it's setting the flow mode to like wait event. And then it is setting these 4 bits, which are 8 through 11. And this is interrupts? That doesn't seem right. Is this the wrong register? Halt CPU events. Interesting. This is probably like resume on interrupt or something. What is a good name for this that controls these bits? I mean, it's an interrupt control, but what kind of interrupt control is it? I guess this is like wake on IRQ, because this is resume on this interrupt, this is resume on this interrupt, this is resume on this interrupt. That's fine. I can do that. Sure. So let's do that. It's not really bool halt. That's more like bool resume IRQ. And there's what's the other one? This is gonna be like set CC4 control, isn't it? I always forget what this is. But yes, it's gonna be set CC4 control. Okay. Core, and what else does it take? How does this get put in here? 2. Okay, that's just literally directly the value. Sure. That's silly, but okay. these in here. Yeah, no, I mean, I don't think the next Nintendo console is going to have meaningfully homebrew, which is very sad as someone who is very happy with homebrew existing for the Switch. But these things happen. We can't always get homebrew, and I'm really glad that we have had homebrew the way that we have. I think that it has been really nice to have it this way. Okay, so let's go to set CPU CSR. This is setting bit 0x100 shifted left by result, which is really just a way of getting some bit specific to the core. It's setting this enable X bit, and then it's setting these bits. So let's look up what those do. Flow, and I think it should be Integra Flow. Here. Include Exosphere, Integra Flow Controller. I do. Great. Okay. So the first thing we should do is we should define the CPU CSR bits that we're setting. So we go to that TRM, which we are maybe already here. No, I was down a bit. Okay, cool. So we are setting bit 0. Maybe Cy will finally add SREPO to the wiki. Eventually, I will add that eventually. So this is just the literal enable bit, which is fine. I'm fine with that. So let's add that. The names are enable and disable. Okay. Where's this relative here? Okay. Low reg bit enum controller. Anyway, flow controller is included automatically. This is CPU N CSR. Enable. This is bit 0, and it is disable and enable. Okay. Then what else is there? There's C001, so that's bits 14 and 15. So what are those? 14 is event flag and inner flag. Okay. Sure. It's CQN CSR event flag. 14, which is false and true, and same for interflag at 15. So that takes care of those. And then there is this, which is weight W5 bitmap. Okay, so that's a 4-bit bitmap at bit 8. So let's define that. Define flow reg CPU and CSR weight W5 bitmap. Does the stream will be reposted? I post my streams. I post my streams on YouTube when they're done, so don't worry. All of this will be available later if you need to go. Reg, and it is 4 bits wide. What were the first months of Atmosphere like? How did you get started, and what inspired you to start? I was inspired to start because I really want Atmosphere. I really want Horizon to be open source. The first, I don't remember how to scroll like to the end here instead of just going like one by one. Oh, you can do like plus 34. Okay, plus 22, plus 2170. Ugh, I don't want to search on Amazon. 2170. The first thing I did was I improve French. Oh god, thank you Pastel for amusing me. The very first thing that I did was work on Exosphere, which I am now rewriting. Like, the very first thing that I did was work on the secure monitor reimplementation. And the first months were me working on this and testing this via a JavaScript payload where I exploited the web browser. Yes, I vape. That's true. Thank you, Zeki Cat Games. You're right. I vape. A near recent counter. The AHB trusts... I didn't use Fuse when I started. I didn't use Fuse until it was done. YouTube. So there's, I did not use Fuse until it was done. I used atmosphere.js, which was a payload. The first time it was bootable was March 2nd, 2018, which was about 2.5 weeks after I started. It booted far enough for me to get into the boot process. Oh, hey, you can see my hand. Yes, I used to have Christmas lights hung around my office, and I took them down because they were getting in the way of my not feeling tired at night. But they were really lovely when I had them up. I know, right? Hand reveal. What a good joke. Yeah. What else is there that it's just writing? And it's also writing enable X to shift left by 12. Hi, Pepito. Good night, GG Link. Oh, which one in the HB or memory interface is interesting access control with? It is not. The memory controller is a special bit of Tegra MMIO in the SoC that controls all memory accesses. All memory accesses, even by the CPU, go through the memory controller, and so the only thing that it trusts is itself. It is in charge. It makes decisions. Cool. Enable next is bit 12. Okay, back to implementing this. This should be very simple. This should just be reg write g register address plus control register offsets core dot cpu csr. And then let's start embedding these. Flow, how do I define this? Flow reg enum. Okay. Reg enum, and then we want to do a CPU n CSR. I forget if interflag is. Okay, interflag. Flow reg enum CPU n CSR event flag enable. Yeah, exactly. There's a section in the technical reference manual about the memory controller, but memory interface is what the memory controller is. And then we want this shifted left by 12, or 0x100 shifted left by it, rather. So let's add enable X with that. Flow reg its value. CPU n CSR. Enable ext. Ext. We want flow reg bits. I think this is a value again. Yeah. Value CPU n CSR. It's like weight W5 bitmap. Yeah, weight W5 bitmap. Yeah, no, I put a lot of effort into the code alignment for this register stuff, more than I need to. And then they set enable to 1. Cool, I think that should do the correct thing. Let's compile that and check it, because I do not trust myself in the slightest. Let's also go back to where we were. Okay, yeah, that failed. That's fine. That's going to be a lot of errors because anytime I make a mistake in this, it gives me lots of errors. But don't worry, that might look bad, but it's actually totally fine. Core ID and C. I think that should work. Okay, what is this complaining about? I'm really bad at using the macroing that I wrote. Did you mean flow controller, CSU? Flow reg beats enum. Flow controller, CPU and CSR event flag enable. Oh, this is true and false instead of enable stable? Okay, that's dumb. I vape. I vape, I vape, I vape, I vape, I vape, I vape. I vape. Fuzzy Assassin asks, do you have anything special planned for June 15th? I am hoping to have the system updater API out by then. I actually don't have anything super exciting planned for then. I apologize for that, but they can't all be winners. I am. Aurora. I vape. But I don't have anything super special planned. I would like to have Atmosphere 0.13 out by then, which hopefully has Exosphere 2 in it, and hopefully has the system updater API in it. And it will make me really personally happy to have Exosphere 2 done by June 15th. Because Exosphere was the very first component that I wrote for Atmosphere, and I love working on it, and it is deeply personal to me. But for the end user, there's probably nothing crazy exciting coming on June 15th. So I apologize for that. And next year, there will be exciting things on June 15th. I vape. Okay, let's verify that that's doing the right thing, the code that I just wrote. Because if it is, then I will move forward with the next ones. The system updater API will come with a homebrew for installing system updates and downgrades. It will come with a homebrew for using it. Hopefully people will make a better homebrew for using it, but yes. Can you make a vape theme sept? Someone should write a vape theme sept and provide me with a binary to sign, and I will sign it. I am happy to sign a sept that displays the text I vape instead of the sept logo. I am perfectly happy to do that. Right, let's check out this output. Yes, lib vapors. Power off CPU. Okay. Yeah, that's doing the right thing. Actually, should that be true or false? That should be false. Okay. Very, very well done, me. I am truly an intellectual. Okay, whatever. Sure, it's getting the offsets, which will be the right thing, and then it's doing 256 chips left by the core, sure. Enable x61, chips left by 12, great. C0001, that is totally correct. Surely all meaningful anti-tamper telemetry is restricted to just exception logging. Au contraire. Au contraire. Allow me to introduce you to Nintendo Telemetry. These are all things that Nintendo logs. All the time. Everything you could ever want to know, Nintendo logs it. This is only the error report telemetry. They also log all sorts of other stuff. You play a game, they log it. You view something in the profile applet, they log it. You do basically anything, they get a log later. The Switch is a telemetry monster, and it does crazy amounts of telemetry. Nintendo even logs the last meal you ate. Yeah, they even log changing the volume. They log all sorts of stuff. Atmosphere does not touch play reports right now, and it doesn't touch system reports. And it blocks all error report telemetry and all crash report telemetry. But it does not touch play reports at all. So, yeah. I'm not opposed to blocking it. I just, someone else needs to do the research. That's not me. Right. Core data alt CPU events. What is this writing? Have you ever been blamed for someone's Switch getting banned? No. Nintendo bans for 3 things, GR Animated. Every single ban is one of these 3 things. Number 1, piracy. If you pirate games, you get banned. Number 2, cheating online. Number 3, dumping your console's client certificates and sending invalid requests. Yeah. Every ban is one of those 3 things. And just kind of, what could the Switch possibly report about a modified firmware kernel stack? A lot. They log a lot, and they can report a lot. I do not doubt that Nintendo can detect when consoles are running Atmosphere. I am sure that it is possible for them to do so. I am, in fact, entirely confident that it is possible for them to do so. But they don't ban if you don't misbehave right now, and that's where we're at. Okay. If Q 1232 value equals I don't want to do this. Nearest encounter possible without nuking a bunch of innocent users? Doubt. You're wrong. Factually, as someone who knows Nintendo's operating system, you're just fucking wrong. They can detect Atmosphere. They can do it without nuking innocent users. They don't, because they only ban for misbehavior, but they can. That's a fact. Nixify, did they patch out the game card exploit? There was never an exploit like that. That's not a real thing. Literally, that's just you going, let me hit re-download on a cartridge that's inserted, and then you re-download it, and they can tell when you do that, and if they want to ban you, they can. I don't know why you would do that. That's moronic. But yeah. Exosphere E32, get halt CPU events value. That's a fact. Nice fallacy. As somebody who wants to flex on an understanding of the OS, go on, enlighten us. Okay. You really want to play this game, Nearest Encounter? Sure. Nintendo logs the operating system string every time that you do anything involving the operating system. Nintendo modifies the operating system string. They can detect it that way. Much harder for them to detect it that way than with Ray and X, which are sending it in every string instance, but I guarantee you they can. Atmosphere stubs the error collection system module, which means that a lot of error report telemetry doesn't get sent, but it also means that every play report sent has 0 values for certain error report telemetry, which those 0 values are impossible to occur on a non-Atmosphere console, so you could probably detect Atmosphere that way. They could detect the number of processes, because Atmosphere adds new ones, and the process ID list is fixed for them, but not fixed for us. They could read the executable text of any of our binaries and check if they signed them. They could verify at runtime that processes have the capacities that they are expected to. Yeah, no, there are a million ways for them to detect Atmosphere. It is a fact that they can detect Atmosphere. It is impossible for me to make Atmosphere undetectable, and I don't try to. Nintendo doesn't ban for people who don't misbehave. Yeah, see, you don't know what the OS string is. It is retrieved from the system version title, 010000000809. Again, first off, I'm not emulating anything, so better emulation doesn't even make sense. Genuinely, it is not possible for Atmosphere to be a thing and for them to not be able to detect it. Like, you are just wrong about this, as someone who spends every day of his life working with this operating system. GR Animated, would I do anything about it? They would never approve a game that does that. It wouldn't pass law checking. That will just never happen. I'm not going to worry about it, since it will not happen. That's true. A Ruby interpreter that detects Atmosphere would get passed. Also, those were like the off the top of my head ways to detect Atmosphere. There are more of them, and I am way too lazy to go into them. Look up system reports and do the reverse engineering yourself if you're curious. I literally guarantee you that they can detect atmosphere. Also, Atmosphere explicitly provides a means to detect atmosphere for homebrew. Yeah, I mean, I gave you a summary of a bunch of different ways they could detect it, and if you want to know more, you can look into it, or wait for me to eventually re-implement the relevant components and then read my source code. Like, at a certain level, trust that I know what I'm talking about. I have explained it at a high enough level for you to understand that there are lots of different ways they can detect it. If you want more information, be the change you want to see. Bit 4 is going to be the flow mode, which I don't think I have in here yet. I think it's a 3-bit enum, but I'll look that back up in the technical reference manual. Yes, it's a 3-bit enum. Okay. Alt CPU and events, flow mode. Okay. Screw your high-level explanation. Why wouldn't a telemetry client reimplementation work? What have you possibly destroyed that you couldn't emulate? Well, you would have a really difficult time... Stupid. I am not going to go into this because there is information that I have intentionally not put on the wiki involving system reports because I feel that it will be bad for Nintendo if I put that information on the wiki. It is my honest, genuine belief that it is not meaningfully possible to fool the telemetry entirely. There are cryptographic reasons why it is not possible to fool the telemetry entirely. If you are interested, look into it. If you continue with this belligerent, I don't believe you talk, I will warn you or ban you from the chat, because, again, I know what I'm talking about. I really don't feel the need to go into great detail about this, especially since it doesn't interest me very much. Nintendo's PCSG is probably not watching this right now, but they will watch it later, I am sure. I'm not expecting you to believe... It's better than expecting you to believe her, I know OS. Dude... completely seriously... I feel that I am justified saying that I understand this operating system. I have spent every day for the last 3 years re-implementing this operating system. I know this operating system. If you don't want to believe me, that's fine, but I don't need to justify myself further. Yes, I vape, and I do need the vape. God, I love memes. Is there anything crazy in this update? No, there really isn't. I diffed the update earlier, but it is very uninteresting. I don't want you to justify everything. I don't want to question your credibility. As a person in your own position, would you believe a random person giving generic high-level answers related to security? Would I believe a random person giving generic high-level answers? Not especially, because I could verify them. But would I believe me? Yes. Would I believe someone who contributes to the Switch wiki and found every meaningful Switch exploit for the secure monitor? Yes. Would I believe the person who is streaming himself re-implementing the firmware for the second time? Yes. Again, I have a public record of working on this stuff every day for 3 years. If I were you, I in fact would believe me. What is this field named? Okay, mode. Like, I understand where you're coming from with the whole would you believe a random person thing, but I am factually not a random person in this specific domain. This is the thing that I do, very publicly. Yes, I would. When my... I won't use the word... What's the word for a coworker who's a friend who's not really a coworker because this isn't a job? When the people who work with me tell me things, I believe them. HexKYZ has done tons of research and I've never questioned him on it because I trust him to know what he's doing. QN. Yeah, I am also kind of at that point, Riemann. I suspect that is true. I don't know how I make so many typos. Human error goes out the window. That's a stupid argument. Human error is not something to concern yourself about for something that I spend this ridiculous amount of time on. If I make mistakes, I apologize for them publicly. But no, human error is not an issue here. I am entirely confident. Yeah, colleagues is a good word, Fuzzy Assassin. And no, I mean, I am happy to be streaming this. I enjoy streaming this. So this is going to be flow mode 4, which is... Or there's just bit 30. So that would be 2 here? Yeah, wait event. Okay. I mean, again, trust but verify. If you want to verify me, all my process is public for how you can do that. I'm making claims and telling you I know what I'm doing. And if you don't think I know what I'm doing, you don't have to believe me. You are welcome to verify it yourself. That is an option. Flow controller. No, just flow reg museum, so I don't need that. Wait event. And events. Flow mode. Wait event. Okay. Did I do this right? I think so. No, I didn't. What is your take on Cosmos shutting down? I don't have much of an opinion on it. I was not involved with Cosmos and never used Cosmos. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like, I just don't have much to say on the topic of Cosmos shutting down because I have never used Cosmos even once and don't have much of an opinion on it. I mean, it sucks that people who are developers in this scene are being driven out by people being toxic and shitty. Like, that false flag thing with the Mario 64 ROM is shitty. Have you ever been contacted by Nintendo or not because what you were doing is messing with their coding? I think that everybody who works with this stuff gets contacted by Nintendo eventually. Geck, Fifken. That's a fallacy. I do believe you know what you're doing, and I do believe you've done enough work in this for to be trustworthy. Okay. Cool. I mean, you did. You did explicitly warn. I'm sorry that that whole thing was a thing. I appreciate it, Turtle. Don't worry. I mean, I am never going to stop what I'm doing. Well, I'm not moving on to the console after this, so I guess I am technically stopping what I am doing. But that's not for a while. The search will never end. Joke's on you. Wouldn't that be miserable? Okay, so I made its mistake in the enum stuff again, which always does this. And we will wait for this to stop printing, and then we will fix it. Okay. Interesting. Am I just doing this wrong? Halt CPU events, like FRQ event. Oh, okay, sure. Sure. That's fair. Curious what you meant by not continuing after the Switch. I am all in on the Switch. I am all in on the Switch's version of Horizon. I'm going to continue working on Atmosphere for like the next 5 years, probably. And when a new console releases, I am not going to pivot to trying to hack it, and I am not going to move on in reverse engineering. New hackers and new people will need to come up and do that. This is partly because I don't think future consoles will be hackable, and partly because I really love the Switch, and I want to stick with it. It makes me happy to work on the Switch, and so I will continue working on the Switch. I am using 16 cores in this VM right now. Let's double check that this is right. Probably is, but you know, you never know. Switch 2.0, that's a harder question. We'll deal with that bridge when it comes up. I mean, the problem is that Horizon is not hackable. Like, Horizon doesn't have software bugs, so at the end of the day, there's nothing I can do anyway, so there's not very much incentive for me to move forward. Let me go to power off. Nevenio. I spend a lot of time working with the Switch's operating system. Oh, I forgot to add the call because I am a moron. Hello, set halt CPU events, I think is what I called that. Suppose you don't think future consoles. Well, let me get back to answering that question. I know the Switch's OS very well. I am completely confident that the Switch's kernel and secure monitor have no software vulnerabilities. I have published all of my reverse engineering notes because I am really confident that they don't have bugs. Like, they just don't have exploitable bugs. Nintendo did the thing where they wrote a secure microkernel. Every Switch hack has not been the software. It has been NVIDIA's hardware. And I believe that future consoles will not have shitty, vulnerable hardware. I think that with all of this practice, they will get it right. Should have used AMD. Pegaswitch. Pegaswitch, you can't secure the web browser, but I don't consider hacking the web browser to be hacking the console. Like, when I say that the console won't be hacked, I mean... They didn't vape. Yes, I vape. When I say that the console won't be hacked, I mean that the kernel won't be compromised, and the secure monitor won't be compromised, and the most that people will get into stuff is the web browser and code execution under, like, userland driver system modules. Probably system modules on future hardware will be compromised, but the OS itself will remain fine. The kernel doesn't have bugs. Ricky G wants, yeah, NVIDIA had some shitty stuff in the Tegra X1, but that is also literally fixed right now. The red box switches, Mariko, don't have those hardware bugs. Like, they just literally don't have the bugs. So they already fixed that in newer hardware. Gateway's mod chip is doing voltage glitching, or some kind of glitching anyway, on the like eMMC reads in package 1, which is Nintendo's bootloader. And the new switches have anti-glitching in the boot ROM, but not in not in Nintendo's bootloader. So Nintendo will add anti-glitching in a future system update, and that will solve the problem. They can just add random delays. They can check things twice. Like, they can add software anti-glitching to the components and fix the mod chip. That is the thing that they can do. Yeah, no, Mariko switches don't have hardware problems. Also, I feel if anyone actually gets this mod chip, don't use sysnand on it. The mod chip hacks takes effect after fuses are checked by Nintendo's bootloader. Like, the flow goes like this. Boot ROM executes. Anti-glitching. Package 1 loader executes. No anti-glitching, but nothing glitch. Package 1, NX bootloader executes. No anti-glitching. NX bootloader does reads to NAND. Gateway glitches these reads. Code execution is gained here. Fuses are checked here. Yeah, there are glitching random delays. You can't reliably glitch anything in here because there's anti-glitching before it and nothing to synchronize off of. And they can also add anti-glitching here. And this is where Gateway gains code execution after fuses are checked. So, yeah, my expectation is that Nintendo will add anti-glitching in the future and fix this. Yeah, so if you update sysnand using their mod chip, you will burn fuses the next time that you boot, and their mod chip will stop working, and you will lose your hex, and it will be permanent, and there will be nothing you can do. Yeah. Pretty good stuff. This is the central problem here. And you will be sad, yes, and you will not vape. It is very important to vape. I vape. You should vape. And if you update your stuff, you will not vape. It will be very not amazing. Sad. No, because their mod chip isn't officially released yet. I spent like the last week reversing their pain load. But yeah, no, I mean, use... If you're going to be hacking stuff with it, use emunand or you will get fucked. CC4 core control value. This is just a direct write, so let's check that. Yeah, I predict things will be very sad shortly after it releases. Go vape. I vape. Okay, let's check this. Program.elf. Nintendo has not, but how it functioned only really became known in the last week, so give Nintendo some time. I am entirely sure Nintendo will implement some kind of anti-glitching. It is obvious for them to do so. So it's already vapes. Why do they have strike vents on the top? That's true. I can't argue with the facts. Cool. So this is right. Let's see. We already know that one's right. This one should be... Yep, that is right. Great. And this is also right. Great. Okay, so we've done that part, which is good. And then, of course, there is always more to do. Is it possible they could just patch it before it comes out? Yes. In fact, Gateway's delays make that unfortunately likely. Very funny if that happens. We'll see. I am very interested to see what kind of anti-glitching Nintendo adds to their bootloader. I mean, it will mostly be random delays and double checks. Okay, what else happens here? They save the current core context, which is just saving the debug registers. They set the core is turned off. They flush the entire data cache. And then they finalize the power down. Okay. Let me check what I called all those. Restore debug registers, save debug registers. Okay, we want to save debug registers. Text for restoration. Next power on. Save debug registers. What's this? This is set core off. Yes, I am looking very forward to the memes that will follow in the next few months. Nintendo will release the anti-glitching on June 15th. God, I hope they do. If Nintendo releases an anti-glitching update on June 15th, I will vape and post a picture of myself vaping. To be clear, as funny as this all is, I don't actually vape. It is just an extended joke, and I'm going to continue saying I vape for the rest of the stream because it is deeply funny. I vape. But if Nintendo releases anti-glitching on June 15th, I will actually vape and post a picture of it. I think Gateway is aware. They're not that stupid. I think that is why they have been so cagey. And then this will be like, finalize the power down. Okay. Vape reveal. I vape. Yeah. Okay. This shouldn't compile because I'm missing functions, but let's see where it's getting. June 15th, flavored vape juice. I vape. I vape. Okay, I need to figure out which data cache this is. If this is a data cache flush by virtual address or... Oh, wow, they really are doing the thing. That is surprising. You are not supposed to do this except on boot up. That is just wrong. ARM management. Like, the ARM reference manual explicitly says not to do this. So that's funny, but, you know. Tenebio asks, what is the meme with June 15th? Okay, so a little bit of history. I started working on Atmosphere in February of 2018, and I gave an initial release date for Atmosphere of June 15th, expecting it to take me a couple of months to get stuff working, and we missed June 15th as a release date hard. We missed it very hard, and people were like, oh, but you said it's going to come out on June 15th, and they were like, oh, why didn't you release this on June 15th? And after like a couple of months of that, when Atmosphere was actually ready, I was like, you know what? I'm going to reclaim this. It will be very, very funny if I, just make June 15th an Atmosphere shitpost, and I run it into the ground. I vape. And so I did. And every Atmosphere release, I post Happy June 15th. And it is just a long-running, me running this thing that people ask me why I didn't meet this deadline into the ground. And that amuses me. is the honest answer. And cache. Okay, so that'll just be in SecMon. Yes, you know, the fundamental basis of all humor is the construction of statements that subvert expectations and make the listener hear something that they are not expecting. I vape. I vape. I vape. Okay, we need to implement finalize power off, but that at least is totally fine. What is your point of view on the 3DS source code being leaked? From a like historical understanding point of view, that's super cool, but also, holy shit, I must not look at that. It is critically important as someone who is interested in doing this that I not look at the source code files, because that is how Nintendo fucks me and fucks me hard. So yeah, especially since I'm working on the reimplementation of the Switch kernel, I am forcing myself not to look at the thing that I really want to look at, and it's frustrating, but I'm not looking at it, and I can't look at it. Yeah. I vape the Cyberquake. I vape. Come on. SMC. CPU. ASM. That's what we'll call this. Also, we will... Actually, I think we will put this in here. Declare assembly management functionality. I feel like in the hour I've been here, so I have 1% coding. That's true. I've done a lot more shitposting than I have in programming, but I am doing some programming. Yes. Yes. I would also like to get more done. So let's do that. So take the functions that we actually want to be here, which were, did I delete them already? No, I didn't. Pivot, stack, and invoke, and this next one, which will be get core super virtual. That actually does need to be in the SecMon namespace. Okay, that's fine with me. And this will be SMC. Okay. And then we want power off, or finalize power off. You are asking me to compare two things that are the same code base, and so I can't give you a comparison because they are the same. Well, one of them is Wares, and so I will say Atmosphere is better, but, you know, fundamentally it's a question that just doesn't make sense. I vape. Okay. Let's do the thing. It's writing to S controller, it's making sure code is consistent, it's writing to S controller to make sure code is consistent, sure. One is writing a CPU controller, sure. What is this doing? This is another cache flush, really? Okay. Again, it's writing to A controller. This is the GIC, okay, sure. The vaping shitposting started yesterday. I vape. Okay. So let's pull up the ARM reference manual so that we understand what this is doing. Gateway stuff is Atmosphere, except they don't copy paste all of our system modules, and they added some piracy stuff. It is not different at all other than that. It is literally Atmosphere, except they added some patches to the file system services system module for piracy. A57 TRM. Although I might have documentation in the system registers bit of Atmosphere already. Let me check that. Do I have a controller? I do. Great. Okay. What is being cleared here? FFB. So the inverse of this is bit mask 4. So they're clearing bit 2. And bit 2. I don't have anything. Oh no, wait. This isn't E controller. This is S controller. L3. So they are clearing C, which, oh great, I had a link here. Thank you, past me. Yeah, I can confirm Atmosphere is shit and its developer is bad at programming. Okay, so they are disabling the cache. Got it. What's the best way to do this? Okay. Are they using X0? 0, S controller, EL1. I guess this is EL1. Yeah, it's fine. They're doing the same thing. Do EL1 and then EL3. That's fine. The same thing for the EL3 controller. I vape. Yeah, more discussion of the leak stuff is just not going to happen. I really will not comment on that. Okay, this is modifying eController. Do I have a macro for eController? I probably do. Yeah, okay, and start warm, I have it. Cool. Also, I should do language assembly. Yes, I vape. Okay, so what is this bit doing? This is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so 36 plus 2 is bit 38 in eController. And what is that doing? In controller, so 38 is disabled table walk. Okay, sure. Let me double check that I'm getting this right, which I think I am. I will not tweet this, and I also will not comment on Gateway's Wear software. There is no advantage to anyone from me providing detailed information on how this works. This is just L2 or table walk. Okay. Guess it's not just L2. disable chain of page table. So let's start with S60, CPU controller EL1, and then for X0, when shift's by 38. Then what are they doing? They are clearing. Okay, so this is bit, is this bit 32, I think it is? Yeah, it is. Okay. Is this, interesting. This is not actually 32, this is 32. This is 35. So this is, okay, L2 instruction prefetch distance. And they are clearing it, which is disabling instruction prefetch. Okay. Then they're clearing 332, which is disabling data prefetching. Okay, and then they are setting that into CPU controller. Do you collaborate with the user team much? I am friends with the user developers. I provide them my reverse engineering notes. They have asked me to try to fix bugs for them in the past, and I have done so. But I don't work with them a lot because it's mostly just me sharing notes and helping them with stuff that's tricky. And then they are inlining this cache invalidation, which is, of course, fascinating. Are they? I can't even tell. I think so. Yes, they are. Okay, this is a local data cache flush, and they are doing it to level 1. We check the API that we're providing. Cache. Of course, I need to actually look at the declaration here. Man, am I gonna have to implement this local cache invalidation? Okay, I can do that. Why is it doing this? Oh, this is doing template stuff. I see. Yeah, this is doing cache invalidation stuff. Okay, so they're flushing the entire local data cache, but I'm not sure why they are doing it this complicated way. Can intend to use it? Yes, probably. Do you have a vape template, though? I do. I vape. How do we want to do this? Because I have already implemented a lot of this data cache code, and I would rather not implement it again. So let's... How is this actually being used? Is this specifying a level or what? Result? This is specifying a function to use. Is it really? Okay, there are really multiple functions here. This is 1, so I guess it's really doing clean and invalidate, which is a flush, and not just an invalidate. This is so silly. Okay. Wow. Why would they do it this way? I can't imagine why it is preferable for them to do this flush by set way this way. There's just no reason for them to do it this way. Let me see what I called this in Mesosphere, and we'll just do it the Mesosphere way. Mesosphere include Mesosphere arc ARM64 CPU flush entire data cache local for init. Yeah, that's what I called that. Source arc ARM64 CPU. Yes, not quite Apex. It is a good theme. I am a fan of it. I really don't know why they're doing it this way. This is so crazy. You're really not supposed to do this. Yeah, because this only goes to levels of unification, which is fine. Okay. So let's add that to our cache stuff. And then let us add it to this. Good, I have this. I don't know. I like the font for this a lot. I find I'm very used to working in Notepad++, and so I find it very easy to work with. It is very much my preference. Also language C++. Yeah, that's a lot better. Okay. I don't want to flush to the level of coherency, though. I want to flush to the other thing. Here, let me see. Level of coherency, levels of unification. Sure. How am I doing this? Level of coherency. So is this actually just doing a local flush? Because I'm pretty sure just flushing to the level of coherency. Oh no, I see. Is this even right? No, I know it's right, but... Huh. Yes, yes, okay. Okay. I don't know why Nintendo is doing it this way. Turtle asks, have you actually tried using VS Code? Yeah, it crashes with my use case. Which, it might not crash now that I have this new computer with way more RAM. But I tend to have hundreds of files open simultaneously, and VS Code kind of chokes under my use case. Yeah, okay, so I only need to do to the level of unification. Well, v4 is greater than v1. Yeah, makes sense. Yes. Clutter. Okay, so I want to do the level of unification. Intershareable, I think. Yes, which is 27. Or 21. Shifted left by... I just said the wrong thing entirely. I want to go to the level of unification backwards, which is a shift right by 21, taking 3 bits. That was surprisingly hard for me to say out loud and not have it be wrong. I'm surprised by how difficult it was to say and have it not be wrong. Okay. Let's say that we also have void flush data cache from lock. And then that correspondingly, we will have for level is the level we specify down to 0, we will do it, which is how this actually works. Level is -1. Level is greater than or equal to 0. Minus level. Cool. And then this will be a flush from the level intershareable. or level of unification intershareable. Nice. I think that should work if I then want to call this from the power down code. I know, coding is never worth it. I do not recommend it. Coding is a hell, and nobody who has ever coded has enjoyed writing coding. Writing coding has enjoyed coding. I'm not doing so well here. That said, I vape, so at least there's that. Is 27. Cool. When in doubt, vape. There will be more to do, but I'm going to at least check if this compiles to make sure that it's doing the right thing. Incognito Coder says, could you increase your volume a little bit? My volume is already pretty increased. I am just bad at this. I will move a little closer to the microphone, though, and that is hopefully better. Finalize power off. Which part of this is wrong? 16, finalize power off. MS SecMon SMC. Pretty sure that's right. Oh. Yes, yes. Yes, Zeki Cat Games. I vape. Undefined reference to AMS SecMon flash entire data cache local EV. Interesting. That shouldn't be a failure since the cache stuff. Oh, okay. Oh, I must have done this wrong. ZN3 AMS 6 SecMon 27. Okay, so that's a wrong symbol. How did I mangle this wrong? 25. Counted the EV. Okay, that is that. Let's check the output. Cool. Wait, is it inlining a function that is assembly? Oh no, it's just mistakenly thinking that it's a function chunk. Got it. Thank you, Ida. Edit, patch program, patch bytes. Let's insert an infinite loop here, which we have to do sometimes to get Ida to behave. I have an iPhone XR. Yeah, that's good. Nice. Nice. Let's see. How does this look? Let's compare this to Nintendo. Yes. 4 plus this. Yes, okay. No, is this going upwards instead of downwards? It should go upwards. No, that's not right. All V4 is less than V1. Fascinating. I'm really pretty sure that it is supposed to flush the other way. But... okay. Do I touch code as part of my day job? No, I do not. This is a hobby. This is entirely a hobby. Their cache code is doing very weird things, but I am also confident that the way that you do this is you flush from level of unification down to 0. So that's what we're going to do. You're also not supposed to be using setway operations after boot up. This is just not correct. Like, ARM explicitly tells you not to do this, but okay, it's fine. I can move the I can move the microphone a little closer, and maybe that helps. I have no idea if it does. Okay, ignoring the super weird cache stuff, which I'm sure is fine. They are then setting another bit, or clearing another bit rather, in eController. So what is that? And that is bit 4 plus 2 is 6. So they're setting SMPen, so this disables cache and TLB operations. Disable receiving, instruction cache and TLB maintenance operations. That's true, I could try vaping more. I vape. So are they moving it in again? They are. Okay. These questions are too good for me to answer, so I will instead simply say yes. Nintendo is not doing an instruction barrier around this, but I guess they're doing one down here, so they want all of this to be non-reordered. And we need to look up where the GIC mapping actually is in Exosphere, because I don't remember. So let's go to main. GIC is 4143. And the CPU interface, which is what we want, is at 1 F0043. And what this is doing is this is writing 0x1EO to the first bit of the GIC, and let's double check that. So this will be live Exosphere source GIC API. This is the controller, and I'll check the reference manual, but I'm pretty sure this is an interrupt disable. Nice. Nice. CPU interface register summary. Yes, thank you. Now we wait for Firefox to find other matches for a GIC controller. What is this A? Is this telling me to look at another reference manual? Okay, sure. Yeah, I trust ARM to not hack me. That's fine. What a meme. I vape. Okay, 0x1E0, which is bits, everything above bit 5. Or everything above bit 4, rather. So it's bits 5, 6, 7, and 8. 5, FIQ, IRQ. And they set these reserved bits because they're Nintendo, so of course they do. And then they prevent access to IR. Okay, that's fine. It's interrupt disabling, which is what I expected. Load register, is this X1? It should be X1, yeah. Let me go back to where we were in Exosphere so that I can copy paste that address again. Yeah, okay. I mean, I guess these are res 1 maybe, so that's fine. No, they're res 0. Nintendo, come on. You can do better than that. You can absolutely do better than that. Okay. Store into x1. And then they are clearing the OS double lock. Let me double check that. A57. Might be here. Yeah, OS double lock register. Yeah, this chat is mostly memes. I mean, to be fair, I love memes and strongly encourage them. But this chat is, in fact, just memes at the moment. Is the double lock register even in here? Okay. There we are. That took a surprisingly large amount of effort. Let's see, where is this in the system registers thing, which I should probably note. They are setting bit 0, which I'm sure is the same here. Which is locking the double lock. Okay. Which makes sense. Double locked, bit is set to 0. Okay, sure. This is core power down request stuff. Zero. And then they ensure that all of that goes through. And then they wait for interrupts. Cool. Oh no, wait, I edited this, didn't I? No, I didn't. I did not edit that. That's fine. Yeah, no, the chat disconnection thing is kind of funny. Unknown CPU, 1. Okay, sure. This should be MSR, and that should be CPU controller EL1, wherever the other one is, which is line 72. Okay. Cool. Let me double check that this succeeds. I will test this on hardware again. And copy exosphere.bin. I think it's mounted as F. My switch's SD card. It is. It's E. Okay. Okay. Let's boot this. Again, I apologize that you guys can't actually see me booting it, but you will probably hear me navigating through the switches menus once it's booted. I know, really, this is like magic, isn't it? Let me connect this to the host. Okay, my switch is booting. I also love the Switch UI, but I love the entire Switch OS. Okay, now we're going to try to put it to sleep. Then I'm going to launch my stupid IRAM dumping payload, which worked. Now I'm going to see what we're doing. Yep. Okay. Cool. So this is, as expected, I'm getting a set config, which is actually probably the is high Z mode stuff, unless it's atmosphere extensions, which it might be. I don't really want Windows to fix this. Thank you. Nope. Okay. Let me go here and let me reopen this, although this might have refreshed already. Okay, yeah, there we go. Now it is actually setting the correct Nintendo one. Incognito Coder says, you have been saying that the problem is that most of the knowledge in the custom firmware atmosphere is centered around you, and not many people are there who knows it. Do you have any plans to create a knowledge transfer session on these from the beginning? I don't really know how to do that. My plan is to continue working on Atmosphere the next 5 years and hope that in the next 5 years, by streaming and talking about how stuff works and putting it on the wiki and making myself very available, I vape, that people will just kind of absorb it and someone will grow to understand it in the next 5 years from talking to me about it because I vape, I am available. That is the hope. I don't have any concrete plans, I vape, and I will see how it goes. I would love to have something more concrete to tell you. I vape. Adub says, would you ever consider re-implementing the Q launch faithfully at some stage? I am totally theoretically willing to do that. I just... not now. I don't know how to do UI programming, and the rest of the OS is way more interesting to me. Q launch is not something that I will get to for a very long time, if at all, but I'm not opposed. Okay, so I need to import I need to implement setting high Z mode to disabled. Yes, I will, Turtle. I will be available. You can contact me. You in particular can contact me in the Emoji Movie channel of the Reswitch Discord. Atmosphere. Exosphere 2 program source SMC info. I vape. SMC set config. Yeah, I probably just didn't implement this, which makes sense because it doesn't really do much. Yeah, okay, this is just not implemented at the moment. So let's do that really quickly. Pretty sure this is just set the bool to true. Yep. This is, I mean, I'm sure this is a switch statement. Yes, Val, the hidden channels are in fact all memes. Every single one of them is a meme. Okay, this is super straightforward. This is going to be a switch, the same way that this is a switch. It's just being optimized out. And then it'll set high Z mode enabled in the right one. The way that you access these channels is you become a moderator in Reswitched, which Turtle is. But let's go ahead and do this. Turn set config args. It's going to be SMC roll result set config. Args. And Atmosphere has extensions for this. But we will mark them as to do. It's like reboot needed, etc. Let me check that so that I mark them as to do's properly. Exosphere source, SMC API, set config. Config item set. Right, I forget that Exosphere has an API that is terrible. Can we get moderated by sending you free vapes? No, I have all of the vapes I could ever need. Thank you, though. I appreciate it, and it's very kind of you. Cool. High Z mode, needs reboot, needs shutdown. That's fine. Needs reboot, needs shutdown. Okay. Switch args.r0. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, also it's R1, not R0. The thing is, Corvidel, I really like memes. And I have no particular issue making all of my server stuff be memes. So that's what I've done. Plus to do. Unlimited. Same thing here, which I will do later because it's not needed right now. And then charger has emote enabled. And this is going to be taking args R3. Interesting. That is actually very odd. I don't know why it's args R3. Why is it args R3? I mean, I do it correctly here, but set config. Why is it that way? Value. That is really weird. We gotta set user. Is this like not defined in here or something? Okay, yeah, args x3 is the value. That's a very odd API, but okay, sure. I can roll with that. What I want to do is I want to set whether the charger has emote is enabled. And I probably have an API for that already. Yep, I do. This is in power management, of course. Okay. Set charger has emote enabled. Yep, that should be right. And this should include power management, but it already does. So now it should compile. Classic. Error not handled. Oh, right. Duh. I need to make the default be invalid argument, which I also do here. For the low price of one IDA Pro. That's a good meme. Okay, cool. Now we will test this again. And I apologize again for the boring bit that is waiting for me to execute this on my Switch. God, IDA Home is so a bad deal. Please, no one buy IDA Home. It's terrible. Cool, my Switch is booting. I agree. Fuck IDA Home. When I thought IDA Home might have a decompiler for one architecture, I thought that it might actually be interesting, but then it turns out no, it's just dumb as shit. It is so fucking dumb. Okay, we are... Is IDA Home 365 better than Ghidra? It is not. IDA Home is worth 0 more than Ghidra. IDA Home is worth no money. Don't pay for IDA Home. It is not worth it. Yeah, Savaric is right. See. Cool. We are actually getting stuck somewhere, which means that there's debugging to do. It's actually fun. I kind of like when there's debugging to do and everything doesn't just work. I mean, it's annoying, but it means that I don't understand things perfectly, and it is always good to know that I don't understand things perfectly. I'm gonna have to hold the power button down on my Switch for like 12 seconds to get it turned off, but in the meantime, let's load this into IDA and start seeing where we are different. I talked about this earlier, but if you are not like very much me, don't buy IDA Pro either. IDA Pro is very worth it for my use case where I can afford it, and it is better at the one thing that I do, which is low-level ARM64 binaries. But in all seriousness, don't buy IDA Pro. It's not worth it. I mean, it is worth it for me as someone who spends like 3 or 4 hours a day in IDA every day of his life. I vape. But it is not worth it to anyone else because it is overpriced and ridiculous. Don't buy IDA Pro as someone who buys IDA Pro. Okay. Edit plugins friend. Let's go take in the ARM configuration. Let's compare. If we go to actual trust zone, to CPU off, this will probably be pretty similar, but I'm sure there will be some difference that we can find. Yep, set reset expected, which should just set the global. Yep. If the core is not equal to 3, then we get the core exception stack, which will be like these addresses. Yep. And then we will jump to the function. And let's make sure that that's actually happening. Pivot stack and invoke, which should be doing the right thing. So this, yes, does that, release the C stack lock. Should just do a Stoller, yes, okay, so that is correct. Yeah, I am expecting Ghidra to be unambiguously better than IDA in a few years, but right now IDA produces better decompiler output for ARM64 doing like kernel stuff, and that's what I do, so I have IDA. Okay, now let's compare this. We get the core, and we called set CPU Csr, which I think does the right thing. 256 shift left by core. Yes, and that's C01. We already validated this earlier. Let me shift this that it's not like way off the side of the screen so that I can actually scroll. Great, that's better. I was looking at ivape.dev earlier. It's very funny. Yes, if that's set, we set that. Otherwise, we set that. And that should also be right. Set this, and this should literally just be core plus 2. Yep. Yep. Save the debug registers should just be correct. Yeah, we save more registers than Nintendo, but that's fine. That is fine. Yep, that's correct. Set the current core inactive should just be a single write. Yep. Do you have the package built on 4/20/2018? I'm not sure. If that's an officially released package 1, I'm sure that I have it, but I don't know that I've ever noticed one was built on April 20th. That's very funny. Yeah, so Nintendo does fry 0, I is less than the value, which is correct. They CSW, yep. And then let's compare our finalized power downs directly instead of having it be like a function chunk. S controller FFB, yes, that's correct. Controller FFB, that's correct. We said this, yep, that is also correct. Flush entire data cache local. Well, yeah, it's not -1. That should be fine, I think. Although this is casting this to an unsigned int, and that might not be right. Because I think this needs to be, I'm not sold on that. Let me double check that code. No, this should be an int. This very much should be an int. And that's an int, so I think that's okay. And we write to what they write there. PF, that's also right, that's also right. We write one to the OS data lock. ISP, DSP, all one, wait for interrupt. That should all be correct. Like, I am pretty confident that this is correct. This is going to get clutter. It's going to take this value. Shift to the left, like, this is such weird logic. I think they might be doing it up, but it's supposed to be down. All V4 is greater than V1. Yeah, still pretty sure that's wrong. And then they're clearing CSLR after, but that's also not necessary. Interesting. Interesting, interesting. I wonder why we are not receiving the power off, although I thought we were. Very much thought that we were. Let me double check this. Let me add some debugging because I'm pretty sure that's all correct. SMC handler. If args.r. I know I don't want to do this before invocation. No, this is debug log rather. If args.r0 equals function ID. Do I have the function ID in here? Or am I gonna hard code it? I'm gonna hard code it. I am. 84.2. Plus plus I versus I plus plus are the same in loop contexts, although this is like a minus minus from up down versus plus plus versus minus. This is plus plus versus minus minus, not plus plus I versus I plus plus. Cool. We want to let us debug with the current core ID. Yeah, I'll take this from down here because it's already there. Let's also add one for suspend. Okay, cool. Yeah, that UB is annoying. Could you explain what your debug log function does? Sorry, I was responding to a text from a friend in real life. I know, I have those. Is this copied? It should be. Yeah, okay. So, this debug log is basically a facility for me to log secure monitor calls from some range to some range. If I am within the range of calls that I'm logging, I copy the argument input and output to IRAM, and if I'm past the maximum log, I do a reboot. This does a reboot that preserves the RAM that I'm modifying. And this is just me writing some magic numbers when certain calls are made, in particular the power off and the suspend call so that I can tell when they happen. Because right now, when I run this on hardware, it is just hanging, and I want to make sure that I'm actually receiving the calls that I'm expecting to receive. Let me test this on hardware now. Cool, my console is booting Atmosphere. Incognito coder. It writes to an unused region of RAM that survives reboot the way that I'm doing it. I demonstrated this in the first part of the video, and you can view it in the VOD. Okay, I am not even receiving these calls, which is very interesting, because I expect to receive them. I am successfully setting the config item, I think. Turn set config args, set charger has emote enabled, staticast args R3, that should be a thing. If I actually go to power management, which is where that's implemented, that's simple, that should be fine. Sad. Very sad. I vape. Okay, this is the kind of debugging that will require me to like make a bunch of dumps on hardware, and which I can't very easily do on stream, unlike Mesosphere, because I don't have real output and I'm using the stupid dumping trick that I showed in the first part of the stream. So I will probably have to debug why I am not receiving this call offline, although I am also entirely certain that the call is correct. That's really odd. I wonder why I'm not receiving that. Let me see this again. SMC handler. Because I'm sure that the rest of my secure monitor stuff is correct so far. Because, I mean, it's getting into the OS, and I am successfully able to play Animal Crossing with it active. So that's definitely a thing. Oh, although I guess I should add this and try that too, but I doubt that will make a difference. It shouldn't. It really shouldn't. Oh, wait. No, of course it didn't. Of course it didn't. Never mind, I'm an idiot. These can't be in here. Debug log is only getting called for user secure monitor calls. So, yeah, okay. That would explain that. I am only actually calling debug if it's a user call, and these are privileged calls. You know, I love this language, and I hate this programming language. Okay, I need to actually connect my switch to copy stuff to it, which means I'm going to have to turn it off again by force. Yeah, it always is. I mean, this is just debugging stuff, but, you know. Is there a way to set up live debugging in a retail switch similar to kernel debugging? Let me answer that question with a demonstration. Right now, with all of this implemented, I have... go to the end of .bss. I have A430 out of C000 implemented. This is, in particular, is a very space-constrained program, and so I literally don't have space to do kernel-style debugging. Yeah, I don't have room for printf. Adding printf would make this code not fit, so it's not really an option. Which sucks, but that's how things are sometimes. When I'm doing kernel development, which I will be doing later this week again, then I will have debugging again, but for this, it's not an option, sadly. Also, why is my Switch not connecting to my PC? I held power for 12 seconds. I will hold power for 12 seconds again. I'm sorry for the wait. Okay, let's try this again. Can we get a stream role for RS to be pinged? That is a remarkably good idea, Turtle. We should talk to Ave about setting that up in the Emoji Cinematic Universe channel. I vape. But that is a very good idea, and I would be very happy to set up that role in Reswitched. Yeah, now if I had real debugging, this would be significantly easier. The thing about the secure monitor is I know the secure monitor. I've labeled it so many times. It's just impossible to debug. So it sucks to spend all my time debugging. Yeah, Reswitched has a Discord that I own. And you should be able to join Reswitched. Just Google Reswitched Discord, or Turtle, if you could post a link, that would be great. And we have a public Discord, yes. Cool, my Switch is booted, and now let's try this one more time. Hopefully this works this time. Yes, it did. Okay, that's better. Console info. Okay, yes, we are in fact getting power offs. Get one on Core 0. I don't have real work to do right now. This is hobby time right now, so I'm doing this the responsible way. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to comment this out because we are receiving this, although I guess actually, and hardware get current core ID is not equal to 0. And let's try this again. You can see by the way that the data I received says that I got to the point I was expecting with core 0 with my little dumb program. Let's try this one more time. Yes, if you are joining Reswitched, read the rules. There's like a question in there where we ask you to hash your Discord discriminator. And that is to make sure that you read the rules. So read all the rules. Okay, let's see what happens here. Console info, IRM info. Yep, I am receiving it on Core 1 as well. Awesome. Let's try removing this entirely. Because it's definitely possible that I'm just not resetting when I get this. And we can verify that I got Core 1 power off request, which means that Core 0's power off request got to the point where it is yielding the core stack. Okay, let's do this again. I'm really sorry that this is so boring to watch. I know kernel debugging is a lot more fun as a spectator event. Truly, if only hexadecimal went up to V. Die vape. Okay, we failed to boot, but I think that's for unrelated reasons. I think that is for unrelated reasons, because I got an SD card error when trying to boot Fuse, which happens sometimes. I take my SD card in and out of this console so much that it just spuriously fails sometimes. It's actually very irritating. Base 64 when? Yeah, I wish that you could use base 64 for numbers. Sadly, we don't live in a world that perfect. Cool. Okay, I booted this time. Let's turn it off. And I'm not getting anything. Okay, so this is we are not receiving CPU suspend. And what I'm getting from this is that we must be failing to power gate in some way. We're either failing to power gate the CPU properly, although I don't think we are, or there's some kernel thing that we're not satisfying. Either way, I will have to debug this off stream because this is not something that is debuggable on stream. Most unique way of authenticating a Discord. Yeah, it's a fun one. It is a fun one. Okay, I will call it a night here, having implemented this call, but I will answer questions for a few more minutes before I go. How many switches do you have? I would have said 13 2 weeks ago, but now I own 16. How many have you been used for development? I have used at least 11 of them for development. Do you have any vulnerable switches still in box? I have 3 vulnerable switches still in box. How many bricks do you have? 2. There are your numbers. I hope that they are the numbers you were hoping for. How did you get your name? Okay, well this is going to be the really big brain thing. Most services do not allow you to have an apostrophe in them, but that would be where that is from. How did you brick those 2 switches? The first one that I bricked was from like right after we had gotten access to like privileged service APIs, and I was sending random commands to the PCIe and UART services, and I think I overwrote something with garbage, and my switch made a loud popping noise, and it stopped turning on. So I don't really know how that one's bricked. But I was sending random data to the PCIe and UART services, so I'm not too worried about it. The other one, yeah, no, it vaped way too hard. I vape, but not as hard as that switch. The other one, when I was originally doing Exosphere, there was an issue with fs.man in the middle, where it wouldn't manage domain sessions correctly, and some commands for service A were actually writing to other objects, and it forwarded accidentally a command that is meant to write data that is important to a command that writes PCIe configuration to the PCIe bar, and now that console throws a hardware error every time that I turn it on in the WLAN system module. Yeah, so that one's probably solvable if I like write a system module that figures out what the correct PCIe configuration is supposed to be and then rewrites it. But I would have to look up what that is. And by look up what that is, I mean reverse engineer what that is, because I have no idea. But yeah. So this was mostly me shitposting. This was meant to be a primarily shitposting stream. Although I'm glad that CPU off is done, although I'm not sure why we're not receiving suspend. I am excited to implement FS next year, but that's a next year thing. What I was going to say is I am very excited to be working on Mesosphere again. I have missed working on the kernel, and I'm very excited to work on the kernel again. And I will be starting that on Wednesday or Thursday, and I will be streaming that, and Pluto will be in voice chat for that stream. So you guys will get to hear me talk with Pluto and work on the kernel, and I'm very excited to do that. Okay. I hope that this was enjoyable. I vape. Have a good night. I'll be around again on Wednesday or Thursday. Good night.